Black burst in the sky above the city. The distant rumble of artillery fire was ever present, pounding green fields and lush forests into craters of mud and dirt. Trench networks ringed the once beautiful city of Alderaan, capital city of the colony world Atreides and finest bastion of its garrison troops. And the banshee screams of terror weapons could be heard night and day. But the guns were falling silent. Slowly, over the course of days or weeks, the thunder in the distance grew sparse. The cracks of sniper fire became few and far between. The heavy thudding of autocannons, which had once ringed the great city of Alderaan in triple-digit numbers, was now absent save for new surges in the assault. The weary defenders of Alderaan, no sound was more joyous than the noise of the Republic's kinetic weapons thundering defiantly into the night. It was a sign, simple but unmistakable, that the city was not yet lost. Another, more powerful barrage woke them at midnight. Not theirs. The Alliance, clad in blood red and crimson, and armed with hatred and steel, had begun another assault. Their tank battalions rolled out from under the tree cover of the nearby forest, where stealth systems combined with natural cover had shielded them from airstrikes or an orbital barrage. There was no infantry or air cover to support them, nor was there any need for it. The city of Alderaan was crippled, its defenses weak and failing. The tanks would be enough. There was a circular kill zone 2 kilometers in diameter surrounding Alderaan, established the same day the city was, where no enemy could trespass without being cut to shreds by defensive batteries. No cover could be found there. No trees grew there. Craters, from landmines or artillery, or any number of other weapons, were the only landmarks in the entire barren field. The tanks crossed it fearlessly, their crews invulnerable inside their armored shells. They fired their main cannons in continuous barrage at the city, harmless against entrenched infantry, but devastating to the buildings and barricades that had been set up behind them. Searchlights swept across their red hulls, illuminating them for the city's heavy weapons. Autocannon fire pinged harmlessly off their angled steel armor. Missiles streaked out from the city, detonating midair as they encountered active defense weapons or the tank's electronic countermeasures. They were invincible. The troops of the 1st Atreides Garrison Regiment, resolute in the face of death, stood unflinchingly to meet the metal charge. They formed ranks on the trench parapets, black combat armor stained and damaged from weeks of fighting, and raised their rifles for one last time. "Open fire!" roared an officer. The call was echoed across the entire trench network. "We won't die quietly!" A hail of bullets struck the tanks like raindrops on so many umbrellas. The enemy had surrounded the city, and they had already bombed out the roads. There was no escape from this inexorable advance. This column of steel and fire that crushed the city under the tracks, Alderaan would die today, and neither God nor man could hope to save it. God stood back and watched. Man tried to fight all the same. "Hit the sensors!" An officer barked at his contingent of riflemen. "Blind them!" Very few of the RDF planetary conscripts, whose turn it was to stand against fate, honestly believed they could make a difference in this fight. They were thousands, with strength in of numbers, but they knew they could not win the day this time. Still, not one of them wavered as they did their duty. Irad Republic infantry were made of sterner stuff. Their enemy was Legion, their enemy was death. They cared not for culture or peace or coexistence, hailing from a nation created for war and fanatical in its need to see their kind supreme, a utopia for their species and their species alone, built on the foundation of alien skulls. There was no surrender in this fight. There would be no retreat. The men and women of the Irad Republic, long having shown the galaxy how to live, now meant to show them how to die. "Rally, men!" was their battle cry, shouted by their officers and taken up by their men as the world burned around them. "Rally for your Republic!" The Republic, their civilization, their species, which had earned its right to exist through blood, the Republic soldiers met death with a smile, because they died to make a better day. Still, they died easily enough. The tanks rolled through the defenses unharmed, their thick armor proving impenetrable to enemy fire, and they crushed the Republic garrison with contemptuous ease. The battle had been lost before Alliance armor had even reached the city. Then came the infantry, landing in bulbous dropships to take slaves and plunder for their war machine back home. They looted the city with ease, facing only the most pitiful resistance from Alderaan city law enforcement and the remnants of the garrison army. The city had held for weeks before this. Now with fortifications gone, it was taking just under 30 minutes. Look at them, spat an Alliance soldier as he dragged her struggling Irad out of a building by her feathered head. The hammer of the Republic. The broken corpses of RDF planetary soldiers filled the street she was made to look at, crushed by rubble or killed by gunfire. Plumes of smoke rose and fires burned in the distance. A tank, destroyed by improvised explosives, sat idle and burning near the far end of the road. Other troops, Alliance men and women in red armor, were lining up prisoners to be processed. Do you feel safe? He mocked. Do you feel defended? The Defense Force troops that knelt with their other prisoners did not bow their heads like the rest. It was their silent act of defiance. Their captors forced them to bow at gunpoint. Look around you, laughed the Alliance man, smiling cruelly under his reflective visor. Is this the best your race can offer? Black Hammer of the Irad Republic? One of the prisoners coughed something. What? Asked the soldier. He shoved his own captive to kneel with the other prisoners. Speak up, Phil, or I'll cut your tongue from your beak. Wear not the hammer. The prisoner looked up. Defiance in his eyes. He still wore the black fatigues of a Defense Force officer, though his hands were chained behind him and his wings were bound similarly. He had fought as hard as he could when the enemy came to his door. He wished he had fought harder. Wear the chain. The soldier knelt. He held his rifle to his prisoner's throat. You're in chains. We served our purpose, the prisoner said. Held the city long enough. He was still looking up, past the city and its occupants, the night sky above. You don't get it, do you? He asked, turning to look at the victorious enemy. We were never meant to be a hammer. Cannons began firing. The city was already taken. They were flak batteries. Wear the chain. We were always the chain, binding you in place with the weight of your own hubris. Panicked radio chatter pierced the Alliance trooper's ears. He ignored it. Look up, said the prisoner. He did. The engine plumes of Terran troop ships burned blue in the night above him. That right there is the hammer.